Hello and welcome to the Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm Peter Lavelle. We have Dmitry Babich back to discuss what's going on in Nagorno-Karabakh. A peace deal is in play. We have peacekeepers being deployed, and a lot of shock in Armenia. Dima, bring us up to date.
Well, basically, the Armenian army was losing Karabakh. So, in the most critical moment, when it was obvious that the Azerbaijani troops have taken Shusha, which is the second largest city in Nagorno-Karabakh, which is placed right next to the capital, Stepanakert, basically Russia suggested a compromise, which was accepted, at least formally, by the Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan, and the President of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev. Basically, if you look at the map, it means, this compromise, that Azerbaijan will take the territories which are not populated by almost anyone, mostly they're security zones. I don't know if you can see it on this map, but Azerbaijan will take the pink part, of this map, which are the areas around Nagorno-Karabakh, the areas which were used by the Armenians as a security zone. Armenians will keep the territory which is populated by the Armenian population, mostly next to Stepanakert, and they will keep the narrow corridor connecting this part of Nagorno-Karabakh to Armenia. But basically, it is clear that it's a defeat for Armenia, because they are losing the superiority that they used to have for almost 30 years. And it immediately unleashed protests in Yerevan, the Armenian capital. We hear all kinds of accusations. There was an attack against the residence of Prime Minister Pashinyan. I think a huge part of responsibility is, of course, on him, because he was the government and he allowed this to happen, and he did not maintain good relations with Russia. He pretended that he could go west. So most of what happened is basically his fault. The previous Armenian government denounced as pro-Russian and not reform-minded and blah, blah, blah. Somehow they kept that territory. They managed to avoid a war with Azerbaijan. It is clear now that Azerbaijan had superiority not only financially but also militarily. There is absolutely no question which army was attacking during this period. Well, yes, formally, this is the territory of Azerbaijan. So Azerbaijan, in terms of international law, was defending its territory. This is the reason why Russia had no right to intervene, because Russia has an agreement with Armenia, defense agreement, so-called Collective Security and Treaty Organization. Collective Security Treaty means that if a country is attacked, Russia will help. But
yes,
Nagorno-Karabakh is not
of Armenia. But in the case of Armenia, it's Armenia's sovereignty, and Nagorno-Karabakh is not part of Armenia.
Yes, that's very important. Nagorno-Karabakh is a separate, unrecognized republic. And what is especially important, it is not recognized even by Armenia itself, at least legally. De facto, it is recognized. And of course, it was the Armenian army that was defending Nagorno-Karabakh, helping it to defend itself. But formally, it's not a part of Armenia. So Russia had absolutely no legal ground for intervening. And to be frank with you, Russia did not want to intervene, because we have good relations with both Armenia and Azerbaijan. And the only way Russia could be useful in this situation was by being neutral. If Russia took the side of Armenia, as some Western countries did, without doing anything for it on the ground, or if Russia took the side of Azerbaijan, like Turkey did, then Russia would lose its unique role as the country that can suggest a compromise. And this role of suggesting a compromise is, of course, much more important and much more useful than military help on the ground. And this is exactly what Russia did. As every compromise, it is not to everyone's liking. You know, Armenia is full of protesters, sometimes insulting Russia. But basically what will happen is almost 2,000 Russian peacekeepers will be placed between the Azerbaijani and Armenian forces. There will be a peacekeeping center monitored together by Russia and Turkey. Because both Azerbaijanis and Armenians have more or less good attitude to Russians and to Russian troops, hopefully there will not be any more bloodshed. There will not be attacks because our troops will be placed between the enemies.
Dima, this is very interesting to me because this, I think this is going to be a model for conflict resolution going forward, and it's going to have to be a friendly or a neutral party to the participants in a conflict, because this resolution, at least as it's gone forward to this point, there was always, we both know there was talk that, you know, Washington should get involved and Turkey should be involved. But at the end of the day, this is conflict resolution that can really have some meaningful effect, because all three parties, Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Russia, have a vested interest in seeing it go through. Okay, and at the same time, from what I understand, there is at least a very strong implicit agreement that the ethnic minority Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh have a protection, and I think the people of Nagorno-Karabakh also look at the Russians as a neutral player. And as you rightly point out, that's the last thing Russia wants, is a conflict in that region. Okay, and maybe this is some kind of stopgap resolution moving forward, but it's better, as you said, than war itself.
Well, you are exactly right, and I think this situation, it puts the question: how effective are Western countries? How effective the so-called democracies are? Because, okay, you have a tragedy here, you know, several thousand people. We don't know exactly how many, but I guess at least 5,000 people were killed in a matter of several weeks. This had to be stopped. And what did we hear from the West? You know, Mr. Trump called it an easy one. You know, see, he said it's an easy one. I can just resolve it. They will sit down. It was clear that he had absolutely no clue what was going on there. He didn't know the history. He didn't know these people. So he was hopeless. Europe, well, I mean, they call themselves democracies, but if you look closer, there is a dictatorship there, a dictatorship of ideology. Basically, Europe, the European Union, if you look, since its creation, I mean, of the EU, not the European community was a nice idea, but since the EU was created in 1992, show me a conflict they basically resolved, even among themselves. No. There was not a single case of successful EU peace initiative or peace intervention. Instead, the EU basically, I'm sorry, attacked. It attacked Iraq because EU member countries.
Ukraine.
Exactly.
Situation as well.
It destroyed the balance of power in Ukraine. The EU attacked Syria. Let's be frank about it. The Western countries supported the insurgency there. They were not mediators. They were helpers of the insurgents. So the EU is not only impotent, it is basically harmful. Thank God EU did not get involved, because what we heard from the EU was just, you know, very responsible. Some leaders openly supported Armenia. Others said something about Russia's bad influence. Everyone wanted to have more influence, like, why is the West not present? Well, because you're incapable. And because wherever you come, you bring war. Look at Libya. Look at Iraq. So basically, thank God that the EU did not get involved. and hopefully it won't get involved. Unfortunately, the Minsk group proved to be useless, because you basically, with the current state of affairs between Russia and the EU, there is no way we can work together. You know, the EU is too hostile to Russia to start any kind of peace action.
Yeah, talk about, maybe as we wrap this up here, what are the political ramifications of this Moscow broker deal for the Armenian government right now?
Well, it is a very unpopular government right now. I think Mr. Pashinyan sooner or later will have to go. Maybe he will be kept in power by the Armenian elite with the purpose of somehow bringing to conclusion the compromise. But it's clear that people in Armenia feel deceived. I hope it will be a good lesson to other nations of the former Soviet Union, because Pashinyan came to power as a result of a Western-sponsored color revolution. You know, there was a very strange and obviously organized protest which brought him to power. He proved to be absolutely irresponsible, incapable of governing the country. He rushed from one extreme to another. First in South Russia, Azerbaijan. What can you do to help us keep Nagorno-Karabakh? That was his questions, you know, questions that he sent to President Vladimir Putin openly. And that was just so unprofessional. That was hysteria at its worst form. So basically, I think Pashinyan proved to be a failure as leader.
Well, yes, because Armenia has national interest, and if you bring in an ideology that does not support that national interest, you get this kind of catastrophe. I mean, anyone that has any knowledge of the region knows that. Okay, at the end of the day, Armenia is not going west or east. It's saying exactly where it is, and it is a prisoner of its geography. Any last thoughts, Dima? Go ahead.
Well, I think what is very important is for people to understand that it was not a religious conflict. Christians in Azerbaijan and in Russia are celebrating the end of the fighting, because for us the main thing is that there is no bloodshed. This one of the main lessons pro-Western governments brought by color revolutions in the former Soviet republics. Very often they're very unprofessional, dangerous for their peoples. And the example of Mr. Pashinyan has shown it. So these are two main lessons. Don't look for religion here, and color revolutions.
Dima, thank you very much for bringing us up to date on the conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh. I hope it's the last one we do for a while. Let's hope the ceasefire holds and it's a victory for Russian diplomacy. Okay, if you like this, please like, share, and subscribe to The Gaggle, and we'll keep an eye on this story.